The desire to push boundaries is human nature. To escape the ordinary and seek adventure. It's time to break into uncharted territory and explore what lies beyond our neighborhood. Introducing the Lectric XPeak. An all-terrain e-bike designed to take you off-road and into the rugged unknown. It's the first and only e-bike in its class to come with an RST Renegade fork and be tested to the 4210-10 EMTB safety standard. And all-new Stealth M24 technology makes for a quiet motor experience throughout 5 levels of pedal assist or throttle, even when you're sprinting up hills and mountainsides at 28 miles per hour. The XPeak is the epitome of power. Its 48-volt, 14-amp-hour battery system will allow you to confidently go the distance, and reliable hydraulic disc brakes will stop you on a dime. Step-through and high-step frame options cater to a wide range of sizes and abilities. Paired with 26-inch fat tires, that gives you the confidence to charge through everything, from sand and gravel to ruts, roots, and rocks. The XPeak ships free with an ultra-fast tool-free assembly. Join our pre-sale now and get $100 off, plus over $450 in free accessories while supplies last. Trusted by over 400,000 riders to date. All this and more, starting at just $12.99. Visit lectricebikes.com and come ride with us.
Dude, so good. I freaking love that video. Scotty, you're a Nebraska boy, right?
I sure am.
Yeah. No, so let the Minnesotans in.
Yeah, it is live. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what you guys are doing. Like, I'm just like, I just watched the video finish. Like, you're getting in my way. But geez, so you're a Nebraskan. Robbie and I, Minnesotans, so you'll see a lot of influence in that video from those Minnesotan roots, because it's very much outdoorsy and everything. And you look at Rob and Levi and you're like, man, those guys camped, right?
Yes,
those
very
guys were
much so.
always out there on the trail, you know. No, we weren't. We grew up in a suburb in Lakeville, Minnesota, but we were aspirational, outdoorsy people. And so this video was a cultivation of all of our aspirations finally coming to be. And I think that was, job well done to the team, because I think what it did a really good job of is we had Callan and Austin in the video doing like the real off-road riding, you know, using that EMTB safety standard tested fork, tearing up the trails. But then like you had Chris out fishing, and then Austin also took it out with his bow and whatever. And I was like, oh man, that's a sick video. I think the guys killed it with that. So job well done to the team.
Well, how about that for an entrtrance, right, guys?
Yeah, sorry, we totally just jumped right into things.
It's hard not to get excited when you see a video like that, and such a sweet product that is now officially out, which is awesome. And no introduction needed, right? The founders of Lectric, Levi and Robbie. Guys, how are we doing today? I know we're just amped up from watching that video, but give me the mood. What are we thinking? How are we feeling?
Dude, this is a really exciting time for Lectric. This product launch, as you know, these things take forever, so a ton of effort goes into something like this. But it just has me really bullish and excited on the future of Lectric and where else we're going to be able to go, because we've been hanging out in this 20-inch tire world since the conception of the company, right? And we've reached just about 400,000 riders just with that one wheel size. But we know when you close your eyes and you think of a bike frame or style, it isn't necessarily the monotube style that Lectric is known for. And we wanted to flex our muscles and start to play around with bigger tires, and this is our first attempt, and I'm pretty jacked about it. I don't know, Rob, what's your vibe?
I mean, yeah, man, I think that from the early days, we get so much awesome customer feedback. That's one of the huge perks of being a direct-to-consumer business, is we get that one-on-one relationship with the customers. You and I are still super active in the customer service world. That's kind of our baby. And, I remember starting the company, actually, your dad was like, it'd be awesome if we could get back to customers within 3 hours. Like, that should be our goal. And that's still a standard that we strive to. And so we're in a lot of those meetings, hearing from customers, and they're always telling us about what's next for Lectric, what they want to see from us. And, you know, we had the trike, we had the cargo bike earlier this year, and off-road mountain bike. I mean, it's something that people have been asking for, and we're people pleasers here. We like to give the people what they want, you know? So that's what it is.
Well, and kind of touching on that, because we are going to give the people what they want, because we are giving XPeaks away during this live stream. We're going to give one to those who are watching on Facebook and one away to those watching on YouTube. All you have to do to enter, leave a comment down below. Maybe what interests you the most about the XPeak, where you're from, or how long you've been following Lectric. But let's jump a little bit more into it. What is the XPeak? We've talked about it briefly, but why don't you guys just jump into it a little bit more?
Yeah, so it's the attitude of the bike is often defined in the tire size, actually. And so this is a 26-inch by 4-inch tire, and that is sitting with a 750-watt motor, 1,300-watt peak, 14-amp-hour battery, hydraulic brakes. But really, the defining factor of this product is that front suspension and the standard that we decided to put this bike to. So when it comes to off-road bikes and e-bikes in many parts of the world, as soon as you start to advertise that it is off-road in a way, it has to pass this ISO 4210-10 EMTB safety standard. So you got to test the frame, the handlebars, the front headset, the front suspension, the stem, all that crud.
All that stuff.
And so it's not easy to do. It's really easy to fail it, actually. Sure. And this is a very crowded part of the market. There's no shortage of 26 by 4-inch bikes for you to choose from. And of course, Lectric is going to show up with this insane value in terms of performance and the price point. But it's like, how do we really elevate? And when we're in an industry where it's a lot of self-regulation, what we saw was a lot of our competition, virtually all competition under $3,000, is not testing to the safety standard, where in other parts of the world, it is a requirement. And so we thought that was something for us to go after. It ended up to be quite the hairy thing to try to comb out and everything, because so much of it actually rests on the suspension that you spec. You cannot do your own. Lectric could not spec our own OEM front suspension or anything like that. You got to work with the flagship brands such as RST. And for us, really the only option that was going to use a through axle was the RST Renegade, and that's a fork that retails for over $400. And so it's like, oh man, I really wanted to do this insane bang for your buck, off-road bike, but I want to do this. But what the team was able to capture here was really special. So what I'm most excited about it is it's kind of a continued evolution in Lectric. We continue to get better, make our products safer, but what we're doing is putting this to a standard that others are simply not. So that is kind of, when I think of it, there's all these cool things, the flashy power of the motor and everything like that, but this is a really well rugged built bike, and it's tasked and ready to take on the unknown. So I don't know, anything you'd like to add to that?
I mean, the 4210-10 EMTB standard is literally the highest safety standard in the industry, right? So it's the hardest thing to pass. And when we talk about this safety standard, I think it's useful for people to understand that what we mean by that is we're putting a frame in a giant vice grip so the frame can't move, and we're just yamming on the handlebars with hundreds and hundreds of pounds of force over and over and over again for hundreds of thousands of cycles. We're doing something similar with the fork. We're doing something similar with the frame. So, this is simulating loads that are above what is expected out there in the real world, right? Because expect the unexpected is the old saying, right? And so it's super important that we pass all of those tests individually. And we know the pedals, the stem, the handlebars, the frame, all of those things are going to stand the test of time. Even though some customers may not be taking it on those crazy off-hill, off-road things and hucking it off 20-foot jumps and stuff like that.
Totally. Well, and like we are in a time, right, in the industry where safety is paramount, right? And there's, hopefully this regulation coming and it's going to be required, right? I think the best thing for the industry would be if you are advertising your bike to do any off-roading, that this actually should be required for it, right? So we're just trying to get ahead of it. We hope that regulation comes. But yeah, I think we want to be really excited and proud of what we put out there. And I think us going after a safety standard that is pretty much not passed by any other e-bike under $3,000 is us committing to that commitment to the customer and their safety. It's just like this is us putting our money where our mouth is and really doing the right thing there. So I'm super jacked about getting these bikes out there.
We've done that, and then one thing we haven't mentioned yet is UL2849,
Sure.
so the electric system on this thing. I know there's, we mentioned the focus on safety, so not only from a structural perspective, hucking it off jumps it's safe, but also from the battery to the motor to the controller to the charger. This is, again, the highest safety certification in the industry for the whole electric system, which is something we're really proud of.
Yeah, what's cool is these partnerships that Lectric is being able to kind of mature and grow into, right? The company 4 years ago, we were just babies, right? And we were just trying to, make awesome bikes and get them out there. But now we're getting really good partnerships with UL, doing UL2849 on the bikes, but then doing RST, right? Having dialogue with their team, getting that product spec'd on a $1,300 e-bike. This is just cool seeing the company and the products that we do mature and get better with each iteration.
And you mentioned that RST Renegade fork. Robbie, why don't you touch on that a little bit more so people understand just the significance of this fork and why we're bringing it to the table?
So we've actually got one right here. I don't know if you can see, but we've got one right here.
That's showbiz.
And yeah, so you guys can see the branding on the side, the RST front fork, famous. So what's special about this front fork? Well, there's a number of things. Starting at the top up here, we actually have a tapered steer tube up here. And so that is really important when it comes to ride feeling and being able to pass that ISO test. This is going to provide that really good structural integrity that maybe a straight tube just can't provide. As we move down the fork, we've got lockout and preload available on this fork. Then we've got 80 millimeters of travel in here. And we actually worked with RST on the actual spring rate inside of here. So this bike's been in development for quite some time, and it's not. Those in product development might know that it's an iterative process, right? Where it's not like we buy the fork and we say, "Yep, it's perfect the way it is." If something's not right, we're going to go back to the supplier and we're going to work with them to get it right. And so the spring rate when we first got this fork was a little bit soft, so we kind of had a tendency to bottom out even going over curbs and stuff like that. So we beefed up the spring rate so people are going to notice that it's better suited for the weight of the bike, hucking off curbs, jumps, all of those sorts of things. Moving on down here, we've actually got the aforementioned through axle. And so I really want to spend some time on this because there's a few different functions of this, and people might not be familiar with these things. So I think people have heard of quick releases before, and quick releases are similar to through axles in that they can be removed. You can remove the wheel from the bike. But what's different about a quick release versus this through axle here is a quick release actually uses springs to hold that wheel in the dropouts. And there's tension with these springs. And so what can happen, unfortunately, with quick releases is if somebody doesn't tighten it appropriately, those springs will not be tensioned properly and the wheel can actually come out, which is, obviously very dangerous. What's awesome about a through axle is it's actually threaded in on this side of the fork here. So the dropouts are actually, they're not dropouts per se. It's literally a machined hole in either side of the fork here. So, all you have to do to remove this is thread this out. As you can see, there's no tools involved in this. All I have here is this lever. Okay, it's threaded out. Now I pull it out. Boom. You can see the holes here in the front of that fork to reinstall. And by the way, this bike has a 1-minute tool-free assembly. So that might be another question that customers have is, up until this point, every single product that Lectric has done has been fully assembled. We've been known for that. We've been known for the 20-inch wheel size. And going to the 26-inch wheels, they offer a lot of these, off-road benefits that we've been talking about, but it does make it more difficult to ship to the consumer. Customer experience is top of mind with everything we do here. And so we know that it's our job to build bikes and not the customer. So it was really important to us that we make this as easy as possible. So when customers buy this product, the only thing they're really gonna have to do is the front wheel will be off the bike. They're gonna slide the front wheel in between the fork here, put this through axle through, tighten it up. Again, no tools here. I'm just using this lever. It's keyed down here. I'm tightening it up. I'm taking my time, by the way.
Yeah.
And then I'm closing this lever, and boom, that wheel is not going anywhere. And besides being super easy to assemble, it actually makes the structural integrity of this entire wheel assembly, once the wheel is in here with the fork, really, really strong. And that's another important part of actually passing this ISO 4210-10 standard. Not to mention, if you don't have a bike rack on the back of your car or whatever it is, you can really easily, in less than a minute, remove the front wheel, throw that in the back of the car, throw the bike in the back of the car, head to the hill, head to the mountain, whatever it is, and then throw that, back in once you get there. So really stoked on that. Really excited to partner with a huge brand like RST. I mean, they're just a juggernaut in the industry. The RST Renegade fork. There you have it.
Yeah. Well, and just to really emphasize, when we set out to do this bike, it to stand out and to do something that we were confident in, it was going to have to pass the EMTB safety standard. And we were not going to be able to do that if it was a quick release, so that kind of threw all those out the door. And we just knew that customer experience is paramount, and so we got to make it tool-free assembly, so that kind of sent us to the through axle. And when those are your two must-haves, then you're doing an RST Renegade fork. That's your pretty much only option in the market right now. So we think it was well worth the investment, and customers are really going to enjoy not just the performance of it, but the convenience as well.
Definitely a big deal. And you mentioned the consumer. Let's actually go to the questions. We've had people commenting throughout the stream, so we're going to touch on some comments. We're going to touch on some questions. The first thing, the estimator range. What is that expected range with the XPeak?
Yeah, so it's going to depend on the pedal assist level and your throttle and the environment you're riding in. Obviously, this can go off-road, so you can have all sorts of fun. But so on like pedal assist 1, you can expect probably up to about 55 miles of range. Again, this is a 670 watt-hour battery that you got at your disposal. And we didn't even mention how much weight we've saved with this product in the category. So it's usual, or the expectation when doing a 26x4 is for you to be nearing about 80 pounds. Maybe some of them are over 80 pounds. This one came in at 67 pounds. So that's only 4 pounds more than the 3.0, but it's got these big tires and everything. But also, this fork, for example, actually weighs way less than the 3.0. It's just that higher quality. So I think there's that's worth taking note of. So that's why you actually don't see such a crazy range drop off compared to the long range 3.0 and the XPeak. So yeah, up to 55 miles of range, and it will be probably confidently anywhere in that 25 to 55 mile range.
A couple other questions we got are, what colors can we expect? Can we ride this in the snow and the sand? And then what is that expected weight limit on the bike?
Sure. So in classic Lectric fashion, we keep the SKU count low. So the step through is only offered in that white, and then the high step is offered in that black and gray form as well. And then, dude, these things are built for the sand and snow. Actually, have we announced the winter package yet? Are people aware of that?
Yep.
Yeah, so hyped to get that out. Again, the Minnesota boys selfishly, in product development. But so we got the winter package, which is with studded tires and everything, is really going to play well. But even as it stands right now, it can perform quite nicely. But especially with the sand, it's going to eat that right up. So that's good. The weight limit, 330 pounds on it. What other questions did you have for me?
Well, also, it's the holiday season. Yeah. Now that we're in November, Black Friday right around the corner, and as is typical in Lectric fashion, we have a Black Friday deal a little bit earlier than Black Friday. So what can we expect with the XPeak for those who might not win the giveaway today?
Sure. Well, I'll explain why, because people always, bust my chops for the fact that I go live with Black Fridays. Well, it takes a lot to ship, tens of thousands of bikes in a very condensed amount of time. So if you're a customer thinking about getting a bike, it would be awesome for the warehouse team if you can place that order earlier rather than later, just due to the amount of fulfillment and making sure those bikes get under the Christmas tree or whatever. But the XPeak launch comes with, it's been reduced down to $12.99, which is like stupid how good of a deal that is. Like dollar for dollar, it was already next level, but that was something really special. And a cool thing we did for existing customers is existing customers got emailed a code for an additional $100 off. Wow. And so they were getting it for like $11.99. I think their codes expire in about a week though from now. So again, we understand who our marketing engine is, and it's our riders who are our advocates and everything like that. So we want to give them a good deal. But so the deal right now comes with fenders, front rack, rear rack, elite headlight, front basket, rear basket, and a lock. So that's like $450 in value that we've delivered to the customer. So this is probably like one of our most insane deals ever. But I think we're really interested in coming into a category and making a real difference in it and being the lion's share of it. In the folding category, pretty much 50% of all folding e-bikes sold in the United States are already the Lectric XPeak. Or excuse me, the Lectric XP. When we look at the trike, it's the #1 selling trike model in the US as well. Our e-cargo bike, #1 selling e-cargo. So we kind of have this expectation, and we know there's a direct correlation between price point and accessibility and actually getting people to swing a leg over it and start riding. And so I'm super thrilled with what the team collectively has been able to accomplish in order to get this price point where it is.
Wow. Yeah, well, hey, a couple more comments because I think it's important. Some people ask questions, some people leave comments. First thing, a happy birthday to Christy from Texas. Woo! Happy birthday, Christy. All right, there we go. I hope it's a wonderful day for Christy. On top of that, Kevin loves his step-through. I think that's some feedback we get pretty often. The step-through e-bike, pretty darn popular.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, hey, let's jump back into some final questions. But first, for those who are just tuning in, we are giving away 2 XPeaks, one on the Facebook live stream, one on our YouTube live stream. All you have to do, leave a comment, where you're from, how long have you been following Lectric, where you think you'd want to tear that XPeak up. So, guys, we kind of mentioned the motor, that stealth motor that we are putting on the XPeak.
There's so much to talk about with this bike that we blew right past that.
And and so now is the time to talk about that motor because it is next level.
Yeah, so that was great feedback. Again, Rob mentioned product development is essentially us just listening to customers and then we do what they tell us to do. And the cargo bike, the Expedition, was our first time doing a 750 watt motor, and it has raving reviews. Dude, that product is crushing it. It seems like every month we're getting more and more people to literally trade out cars for Expeditions, which is sick. Anyways, one of the points of feedback was just the motor noise that came from that 750 watt. And so pretty much right from the jump, this was April of last year, we started redesigning the 750 watt motor, and that's what came out with the Stealth M24. And that technology is kind of the expectation we have with all of 2024's launches and motors that are going to be coming out. Rob, if you want to just kind of hit on the reduction and how significant it is.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, those of us who nerd out on audio and things of that nature know that you measure audio in dBs and it's a logarithmic scale. And so, when you go through and you do all of the math, this motor is actually 400% quieter than the Expedition motor, for example. But it's a huge reduction. You got to hear it to believe it, really.
Yeah. Or not hear it, right?
Or not hear it. There you go. Yeah. Better yet. So yeah, it has to do a lot with the gear design inside of that motor, and so. We worked with some suppliers, redesigned how the gears actually come together, the design of the teeth of the gears, the angle at which they're coming together, and that helps a lot with the motor noise.
It's fitting that we did that with the off-road bike, right? When you're in nature and you want to experience it, it's just so fitting that it was accomplished with the XPeak here. So
totally.
Yeah, super jacked on it.
And I think the last thing too, you mentioned at the beginning, is the tires are different than what we see from our, most of our other models.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to touch a little bit more on the tires and why we decided to go that route?
Sure, totally. Well, they're built to eat, right? So like whatever you throw in front of it, it is going to eat it up. And so I think whether it's one of those seeing and believing things of like once you have it, you just realize, oh, I can roll over this curb. And once you kind of realize I can roll over this curb, I can roll over this rock, I can roll over this log. And those big 26-inch tires, 26x4s, they are just built to feast. And so I don't know if there's anything else you want to layer in.
Yeah, I mean, they can just roll over objects more easily than the 20-inch wheels. That's the simple fact of it, right? So whether you're out hunting, you're on the beach, you're in the forest, rolling over some huge rocks, whatever it is, I mean, you don't really even feel it. That's the crazy part. Between the suspension fork, the fat tires, the fact that they're 26 inches, I mean, we had people on this bike who are not that comfortable on many bikes going off-road over some big rocks, and they came back and they were like, I was totally comfortable. It was like riding on a cloud. Yeah. So I think we're going to get a lot more of that feedback.
Well, even just like for the casual rider, like this is probably our most comfortable bike we've ever done. It's like a freaking Cadillac floating down the road. So it's like,
crazy.
No. I see a comment, people are asking about the battery. Yes, removable. This is our latest battery design. It goes underneath. Similar to how the X Premium function, but an improvement on that platform. So there's that. And then Lectric PWR is built into it. That's kind of the flagship programming where it's almost a manual torque sensor, right? Because you can level up those amperage outputs in each level, 1 through 5. And so at level 5, I believe we're delivering 24 amps of power. So that's a lot of fun. But also, if you're looking for something a bit more tame and casual, you can be in levels 1 or 2 and have a nice calm ride just the same. But it allows the pedaling into experience to be not as jolty. And so that was one of the reasons why we moved our flagship 3.0, where it feels like a much more natural power ramp up than anything else. So I think, again, for this product and this environment, it's kind of a perfect marriage of software and the bike itself.
Yeah, and so we have hit that point, guys, of the live stream. It's probably the best point of live stream where we announce the winners of the giveaway.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Winner, chicken dinner. So first we'll announce Facebook, then we'll get into YouTube. For Facebook, our winner is Tim Heichberg.
Tim.
Let's go. All right, Tim. Congrats.
Love it.
Yeah, you will love it. So make sure you're messaging our media team, content team, just to make sure you get your bike. And for YouTube, our winner is Chad Garza.
Chad. Right on.
Let's go.
All right, round of applause for Chad. Congratulations, a big deal.
Man.
Really excited for them. And of course, if you didn't win today, we still thank you so much for listening to today's live stream. Guys, I feel like it was a smash hit being able to talk more about the XPeak.
Dude, this is always fun. I love doing these live streams, and I go back, watch it, go through all the comments and whatever, and this is super fun for us all the same. So thanks for letting us crash as usual.
Yeah, per usual, and definitely just a cool opportunity to share more. Well, for obviously Robbie, Levi, and all of us at Lectric, we thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful weekend and happy riding.
Beautiful. Thank you guys.